Dina Reese, Superintendent of Catoosa County Public Schools. I want to thank you for joining us this evening for the grand opening of Graysville Elementary School. It is a great honor for the Board of Education and me to dedicate this new building to the citizens of Catoosa County and the Graysville community. It is my privilege to introduce the men and women who serve this community on the Board of Education. Chairman Don Dicus represents District 3. Vice Chairman David Moeller represents District 4. Jack Sims represents District 2. And Susan Gibson represents the county at large. Would you please help me to recognize them tonight? We are also honored to have former principals here tonight with us. Phil Ledbetter, Beth Kellerhalls, Paula Crosby. Mr. Ledbetter was principal from 1982 to 1984. Mrs. Kellerhalls was principal from 1984 until 1995. And Mrs. Crosby was principal from 2005 to 2013. Would you help me to recognize them tonight? I would also like to introduce the elected officials who are with us tonight. State Representative Dwayne Hill, would you please stand and remain standing? Mayor of the City of Ringgold, Nick Millwood. County Commissioner Jim Cutler, representing District 3. Catoosa County Chairman of the Board of Commissioners, Stephen Henry. And our Sheriff, Gary Sisk. Would you help me recognize them tonight? As Superintendent of Schools, I appreciate the community's commitment to providing excellent schools for all of our children. But this project is especially dear to my heart. For those of you who don't know, I began my teaching career here at Graysville Elementary in 1984. And then I was assistant principal and principal here from 1988 until I became superintendent in 2005. I am moved beyond words to be standing here today in this beautiful new school for Graysville's children. I would like to thank our Director of Operations, Mike Scholl, and our construction manager, Scott Carter, for doing an excellent job for overseeing this project. I also would like to recognize our architect from DH&W, Mr. Ray Boaz, and EMJ Project Manager Shane Hurley. Would you please help me recognize them? At this time, I would like to introduce Principal Carrie Scholl. Like me, Carrie was a teacher, assistant principal, and now principal at Graysville, and she also holds the distinction of being a student here as well. Help me welcome Carrie Scholl.
Like Ms. Reese said, my name is Carrie Scholl, and I have the distinct pleasure and privilege of being the principal here. And I will say it is the best school in the country. As Ms. Reese said, I've spent literally my whole life here. People often ask me, well, how long have you been at Graysville? And I say my whole life, because I started as a young child here and literally started my career here too. So so this school will always be dear to my heart, and I've always been very proud of it, and I could not be any prouder than I am tonight. I want to introduce some very important people tonight. First, and most importantly, I want to introduce our amazing Graysville faculty and staff. Will you please stand? We have the most amazing, caring, committed staff, and they have been absolutely wonderful throughout this whole process. They have been patient and flexible, all while giving their absolute best for our students. So they have made me very, very proud, and I thank them. I would like to thank Mr. Mike Scholl too. Mr. Scholl, if you don't recognize the similar naming there, as Director of Operations, and my husband, I have to thank him for both things. One, I thank him for his commitment to making sure he was a part of every decision and really was here day to day checking on things. And so I appreciate that commitment he has to the whole school system and to our school. And then thank him for putting up with me as his wife and saying, did you remember this? Did you check this? So thank you dear. I want to recognize, if they'll stand, our local school governance team. Our local school governance team has a, will you guys stand up? There's several here. Thank you. As a charter system, they play a valuable role in offering support and giving valuable input into our school, and I appreciate you guys. You'll give them a hand. I would also like to thank our very important, or recognize our very important business partners. We are so fortunate in Catoosa County to have businesses who partner with us to provide the absolute best for our students. I want to thank them. So if you're a business partner in Catoosa County, would you please stand? Now, I would just like to take a moment to thank some very important people. First, I want to thank Superintendent Reese and the entire school board for their vision and leadership. Having leaders that truly want the best and safest schools for our students is simply priceless. We are blessed to be a part of the Catoosa County school system where our leaders really embrace the saying, every child, every day without exception. So thank you. I would also like to thank the architects from DH&W, Ray, Tripp, Sandy, and Cece. They truly listened to our staff and to us about just working with us about what was absolute best for our students and our teachers. Graysville has always had a very homey, traditional feel, and we wanted that to still feel like home to us, and so they made that come to fruition. So thank you for that. Now, we have joked as a staff that we're not sure we're going to let these people go, but EMJ has been amazing. So I want to particularly thank Adam Graves, Shane Hurley, and Chase Hurst from EMJ because they have become a part of our family. I want to thank them for being ever so patient with us. I think sometimes they wanted to run the other way. I was like, Chase. But they wanted to make this such a seamless process, and they made it as painless as they possibly could. So thank you guys. It can't go without saying what a wonderful PTO and our parents that we have. We have a PTO that simply supports everything we do. They work tirelessly to help our staff create wonderful memories for our students. I really don't know what I would do without them, so I want to thank my PTO. And our parents. Our parents have been very flexible and supportive through this process, even though we asked you to park at the church and walk all the way over here. So thank you for that. And then lastly, and absolutely most importantly, I want to thank our awesome students. Their enthusiasm through this whole thing has been contagious. They are so proud of their new school, and it has been an absolute joy to travel this journey with them. So if you are a current Graysville student, please stand. And let's give them a applause. So much. At this time, I'm going to ask Adam Graves to come forward for a presentation.
Thank you, Principal Scholl. Before I say a few words, I'd like to recognize the EMJ team that's here tonight. So please stand when I say your name. Shane Hurley, Project Superintendent. Neil Farrell, Assistant Superintendent. Chase Hurst, Assistant Superintendent. We've got Tina Bogdan, Senior Admin Assistant. Kevin Fix, Project Engineer. Thank you guys. It is my honor to present a gift to Graysville Elementary School tonight. Over the past year and a half, we have enjoyed being a part of the project team here alongside the Catoosa County School System, alongside DH&W, and also, of course, Graysville Elementary School. I was once told one time that your response in a situation is your responsibility. And construction, I'm sure you know, Carrie, can be noisy. It can be a little messy, a little dirty, and at least it can be a little inconvenient at times as well. But I must say to everyone here, Graysville Elementary School has, throughout the whole construction process, has just responded in an excellent manner each and every day to all the inconveniences that we've caused here, and we appreciate how you guys have responded. This community should be very proud of Graysville Elementary School, not because of the building that we've built, but for the students here, the parents, the faculty, the staff, administration that run the school. In our opinion, they are top notch. So we appreciate you guys for all that y'all have done. So without further ado, we have a small gift here. It's a piece of artwork that is drawn by a local artist, a former art teacher, and my mother, Nita Graves, that is here with us tonight. So let's go ahead and unveil this. And as a small token of our appreciation of everyone's here tonight, we have some postcards that will be in the cafeteria. So after the ceremony, please stop by and pick up a postcard, a little memento of the sketch that's up here tonight, and you can take it home with you. So thank you all.
Thank you, Adam. I know that this has not been an easy project for EMJ because you had to work around a school schedule, but we appreciate the quality of your work and your respect for maintaining the learning environment during the construction phase. This beautiful new building is here today because our community continues to support East Blast to provide world-class learning facilities for our children. In 2013, we surveyed the community to determine priorities for our strategic plan. The community responded that protecting taxpayers' investments in facilities with well-maintained, clean, up-to-date, and safe buildings was a priority. Based on this input, the board established two objectives: to maintain facility equitability for students in every attendance zone, and to maintain safe, secure, and well-maintained schools. When we were planning projects for East Blast 5, the board determined that Graysville Elementary School was not meeting these two objectives to their satisfaction, and the community agreed with support for this project. The original section of this school was built in 1950, so it was our oldest school in operation. An update in the 1970s included pod classrooms that were popular at the time, but these classrooms didn't have doors, so they weren't optimal for learning or safety today. When we updated technology in 2016, there were challenges with wiring the old school, and the entrance on the steep hill has always been a concern. The board determined that to maintain facility equitability, student achievement, and a safe and secure environment, this facility required major construction and a revitalization. This is a three-phase project. The new construction we are dedicating today, renovation of the middle section of the school, and finally removing the oldest part of the school. Benjamin Franklin said, "An investment in knowledge yields the best dividends." The Board of Education and I cannot thank you enough for your investment in the future by providing great schools for our students to learn in today. With your support, we are developing students who will be good citizens and leaders of the future. We are fortunate to have former Graysville Elementary School student McCracken Poston to provide the history of this school. Mr. Poston graduated from Ringgold High School and he received his law degree from the University of Georgia. Mr. Poston served as an assistant district attorney and he was elected as a state legislator for 4 terms. He practices law full-time now while he continues his public service in a part-time role as Catoosa County's Judge of Juvenile Court. Mr. Poston's recognitions include being selected to the 2006 Georgia Super Lawyers class, named 2004 Newsmaker of the Year by the Fulton County Daily Report, and Georgia's Trend 2005 Legal Elite as one of Georgia's most effective lawyers. Please join me in welcoming McCracken Poston.
You'll have to forgive me, everybody put a smile. When my sisters and I were young and went to school all through here, I don't think I have ever seen Graysville so large. And I gotta tell you, this is, and many of my sisters are here. I know Carolyn and Nancy are here. I don't know if there are any of the other gang. But our oldest sister, Mary, and probably because we called her Bunny, she started school at the old Graysville School. And so when you say that Graysville School was established in 1951, that's actually, Graysville School was established in 1923 at the old, what became the Tri-State Steel Drum office. That was the Graysville School building, and it actually just burned a few years ago. It managed to survive all those years, hidden away by the railroad tracks. But the actual Graysville School, the first public school in Catoosa County, in Graysville, started at the old, across the railroad tracks from the Methodist Church. And in the 1950s, that's where our oldest sister led us to Graysville School. And over 6 children, my parents had a child here at Graysville School for 24 years straight. Now, when I was asked to be here, first I was very honored. I can't think of a higher honor than to speak to this school. Stand up if you went here, ever. All right. All right. Well, I wanted to tell everybody, one of the things I loved about growing up in Graysville was its history. And I came back for many years telling the school children about the history of Graysville, and to me, it made you feel important to think that this was an important place, and it is an important place. But back in the 1960s and 70s, you weren't quite sure that this was an important place. The center of town, the heart of the town, was the little mercantile store across the railroad tracks where Pete and Bud Brown they held court there, literally and figuratively sometimes. And then we had Reuben Masters' store right up at the end of the road, where if you were an adventurous school child and had some change in your pocket, you could go get something after school. But only if Miss Boynton allowed you. Now, the interesting history about Graysville, where did it get its name? Well, this was Cherokee country. This was all Cherokee country until, of course, somebody found gold up in Cherokee country. And then the Cherokee were driven out in one of the most bleak eras of our history, the Trail of Tears. But because of the sad times, they were interesting times, and they led to what became Graysville and, of course, the Graysville School. Now, the Trail of Tears was extremely sad, and the Georgians that lived outside the district got to participate in what was called the Cherokee Land Lottery. And it's pretty fascinating when you read up on the rules of the Cherokee Land Lottery. You got to have one draw if you were a bachelor, 18 or over, 3-year residents of the state of Georgia, but you couldn't draw if you already lived up here. They were trying to exclude some people, and they were trying to bring in other people. Of course, there were inequities throughout. If you were a married man, you got 2 draws. If you were a widow, you got 1 draw. If you were a Revolutionary War veteran, you got 2 draws. If you were an orphan of a father killed in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, or the Indian Wars, you got 2 draws. If you were an idiot, you got 1 draw. You'd be proud that female idiots got the same number of draws. Sheriff, you'll be interested in this. By law, quote, any person who is a member of or concerned with a horde of thieves known as the Pony Club got no draws. I'd like to learn about the Pony Club. But through this process, land was given away. Huge lots of land, 160 acres square, were given away and allowed to, you were allowed to develop it. And these people came from all over. The people that lucked out in this draw, lots 41 and 42, which now are where the Graysville School is situated, were an Edmund Carlisle from Morgan County and a Jesse Lamberth in Fayette County. And if they didn't establish themselves here, the lots went back to the state. And I couldn't find any evidence that Mr. Lamberth or Mr. Carlisle sold the property. But pretty soon thereafter, a fellow named John D. Gray ended up owning just about everything around here. John D. Gray was born in London. So what was an Englishman doing over here? He was born in London, but he quickly was somewhat of a self-made man. He and his brother started working on railroads. And the state of Georgia contracted them to build the railroad from Dalton to the new little settlement known as Chattanooga that was before that known as Ross's Landing. And the problem was, to get there, he had to engineer 2 tunnels. One through the Chutagita Ridge, which is now known as Tunnel Hill, and the other through Missionary Ridge. And he did it. And he built tunnels that are still there, although not in use because of their size and the sizes of trains and what they put on trains now. They're still in use. But I think part of his package of payment must have been this beautiful Peavine Valley land known as Graysville. And the deed, I found myself, the deed from John D. Gray, actually his heirs, C.A. Gray, because John D. had passed away in 1878. C.A. Gray's deed on behalf of his family to the Catoosa County Board of Education in 1922 described a piece of property along the Western Atlantic Railroad to a stone. I wonder if that stone is still there. And then all the way back to the Western Atlantic Railroad was where the first Graysville Elementary School was built. Now, my sisters will be interested to know that, of course, the area grew. And the Board of Education decided we need a bigger place for a bigger school. So they quickly sold the land to John Simpson, who purchased that old school, and that gave the county some money to purchase this lot, which was from the Gray family as well, originally. The Gray family developed the farm lots, they call them. And there were 11 farm lots from south to north. That the western border was Graysville Road, and the eastern border was the top of Peavine Ridge. And of 11 farm lots, the 2 biggest ones, the 2 largest lots, number 7 and number 8, unfortunately had been sold to W.F. Starling and his wife for $1,600, and James Hale for a just slightly less amount. Now, $1,938, $1,600 today would be $28,000. It was still a deal. And Catoosa County Board of Education reached out to them and bought those 2 farm lots, 7 and 8, which put beside each other comprise the property that you're sitting on today. And let me tell you, they call them farm lots, but any of us who played on this field out here, actually right here, nothing grows here, so good luck with the sod, okay? I hope you got some sprinklers out there. This is so important to the community to have this. My family and I, we loved Graysville. We wanted Graysville to live on in eternity. And really the only ways you're going to do that is have institutions carrying its name forward. And it's much more important to the town's history to continue it. And we still have the post office. Fight for that post office. We've still got it. It's been active since 1856. And now that we've got these nice community subdivisions that really like a convenient post office, it might have the strength to keep going. We also still have the Graysville Elementary School. And so over the years, it is so exciting. My sister and my family's time and up till today, we remember Mr. R. Watts, Dr. Ruth Boynton, of course, Phil Ledbetter, Beth Kellerhalls, Denia Reese, Mrs. Crosby, is she here? Yes. And Carrie Scholl. And did I leave any principals out since Mr. Watts? I don't think I did. But those principals, and now it's so exciting to have a principal that actually went here. They helped Graysville School become this beautiful place. And I just want to thank everybody for keeping the flame of Graysville going, keeping it lit, and then creating this beautiful place. Thank you very much.
Share my love with others, yes, I will make a difference.
and the Graysville Chorus, we thank you so much. What a wonderful performance, and reminds us of why we're here tonight. At this time, I would like the Board of Education to join me here on stage on my right. The Catoosa County Board of Education and I proudly dedicate this new addition to Graysville Elementary School and to the citizens of Catoosa County, and especially the Graysville community. May this school be a place where students begin their journey to lifelong learning. May the students make friends and memories. That will last a lifetime.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Johnson. I'm the assistant principal here at Graysville, and to conclude our ceremony, just on behalf of our students and faculty and staff, we would like to thank all of you for coming out and celebrating this very special night with us. We would like to express our gratitude to our superintendent, Ms. Reese, and our board members, and our special guests. We're so excited that they made this all possible for us. We just can't tell you how excited and proud we are of our beautiful new school, and we're so happy to be able to share that with you this evening. Now, immediately following this ceremony, our open house will begin. We'll also be having a reception in the cafeteria that's just through the double doors and to the right, where we'll be serving refreshments. So please feel free to tour the building on your own, or if you would prefer, we do have our 5th grade student ambassadors, if they would wave. Student ambassadors, if you'll wave, we're going to have them downstairs by the main entrance on the 1st floor, and they will be available for guided tours for you, and they can answer some questions that you may have. So thank you once again for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful open house, and if those of you feel brave enough, we encourage you to take a ride on our slide. It's amazing. We know you want to do it, so we encourage you to do that.